Hello everybody, my name is Danny and this is my channel How Do He 04, and today I am here to share a very important life update with you. So let me just say it. I'm pregnant. It feels amazing to actually be able to say that now. If you follow me on Instagram, on either my personal Instagram, I think it is DannyP10, or the one for this channel, which is HowDoHe_04_. They're both linked down below. I did post it a couple of weeks ago, but now I'm here saying it, and it's wonderful. And I just wanted to kind of come on here and share that life update with you because this is a big change for me. My husband and I don't have any children, so obviously this is our first. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to do just an announcement video here as well as a first trimester update because as of today, I am 14 weeks and 4 days if I'm not mistaken. So I am out of the first trimester officially. And I do have some pictures here. You can see, I don't know how well you can see, but I'm so excited. These are actually from my 12-week scan. I don't know where the picture for my first scan at 9 weeks is, but I'll go ahead and insert a picture over here of little Boo Boo. And that's actually the best picture I think I have of them. These here were kind of really light. Also, this was the first sonogram I had. Well, the only one so far where they actually just did it on my stomach. The other one, they had to whoop. So there you go. But I kind of just wanted to give you an update because we do have some stories, and I'm going to make a separate video for that, which has to deal with trying to conceive, infertility issues, a false positive, miscarriage, and then pregnancy after loss. So that's going to be a whole separate video. On this one, I just want to talk about this pregnancy with little Boo Boo and me being out of my first trimester. So I wanted to kind of give you just a rehash of how the first trimester went for me and how I think it actually had a lot to do with my moods and not really wanting to read. So I'll go ahead and start talking about that. So first off, some backstory. My husband and I have been dating for about 6 or 7 years, and then we got married, and we've been married for 2 years. So in October this year, we'll actually be celebrating our 3rd anniversary as a married couple. And the baby is actually due September 30th, but we're kind of hoping they'll wait one day and push it into October 1st. Just because September is kind of a really busy birthday season for us, especially in those last 2 weeks or so. The 18th is my husband's birthday, the 19th is my grandma's, I think the 21st is his youngest brother's, and the 26th is my youngest sister's. So as you can see, even though it won't put that much space between them, we can at least say we have only 4 September birthdays and 1 October birthday. So I will be thankful for that, but I just want little Boo Boo, of course, to be healthy. Now, the reason why I am saying little Boo Boo is because as of now, we do not know the gender. I asked my doctor when I could find out. My next appointment is at 16 weeks, but she just told me 20 weeks. So I'm hoping that I could find out at my next appointment, but if not, 20 weeks is going to place me the week after Mother's Day, so that's exciting. But essentially, let's get into it. So let's kind of go back a little bit to the beginning of this year. So in mid-January, January 18th was my last day with my employer that I had been at for 4 going on 5 years. I left in order to pursue school because they weren't being the most accommodating, which I understand because as a management position, you do have to have open availability. So the fact that they were willing to semi-work with me was a blessing, but I left. And then 2 weeks after I quit my job and lost my insurance, I found out I was pregnant. So that was crazy. I went ahead and had to jump on my husband's insurance. I mean, obviously I was going to do that either way, but now there was obviously a rush. And it was a nightmare. Even the insurance people were telling me, this is a very strange case. It was a case of me having to send them a whole bunch of information because there was 3 different people attached to my social security number. There was my maiden name with all the info correct. There was my maiden name with my date of birth incorrect. And then there was my new married name. Yeah. So they had to consolidate all that. Not to mention, I think the company who handles my husband's insurance is overseas. So very strong accents. So it was a little bit hard to, stay calm and try to get over that hurdle, but it ended up working out. Plus, every time I called, they would give me a different person, and I would have to rehash the story all over again. Then they would transfer me, and then I would rehash the story all over again and be like, and they would tell me, no, you're actually supposed to be talking to the other department that just transferred you. So that happened for probably 3 to 4 weeks. But I got insurance, and I went to my first doctor's appointment, and I was 9 weeks. So that was exciting. My husband, when I, told him I was 2 weeks late. I was late for my period. I just said late. And asked if he wanted me to take a pregnancy test. He suggested I wait until I was 2 weeks late for my period because prior to this, obviously, my period was very irregular, so actually being 2 weeks late to my period wasn't anything. That was normal. So we waited till I think I was 16 days late, and I took a test, came back positive, and we were scared. Like I said, I just had a miscarriage, so that was fresh on our minds. And we didn't want to get too excited, but I mean, once you see that positive test, you start thinking, you start planning, you start envisioning a different future for yourself. So, we didn't know at that point how far along I was. I plugged in the dates to my last period on my app, and apparently I'd been pregnant since December, and I was due in December. I was pregnant since December, and I was due in September. So, you start thinking oh my gosh, I'm going to be pregnant during the heat of summer. I'm going to be heavily pregnant during the heat of summer in Texas. And I hate wearing shorts. But things like that, the little stupid things that don't really mean anything. So I was excited, and he was more reserved. He didn't want to really think about it or talk about it until we got confirmation from the doctor that everything looked okay. I will go further into the miscarriage, like I said, on a separate video that kind of talks about why we have these reservations, because this is supposed to be exciting, and we were terrified. So essentially, I called a doctor. I had to switch OBGYNs actually because the one I had for 3 years was not covered on my new insurance. So that was hard because she had been with us during the infertility journey and the miscarriage, and I liked her. So I switched, and it wasn't, it was kind of easy to decide to switch because with my husband's insurance, our deductible, is one number, and then if we go to an out-of-network doctor, it jumps up by $3,000. So that was a pretty easy decision. For $3,000, I could like somebody else. So I do like my doctor now. But we went to our first appointment at 9 weeks. We didn't know that at the time, obviously. When I called to make the appointment, they actually said that my due date, based on just my period and everything, was September 17th. Yeah, which you can imagine my husband was thrilled about, considering the whole that would be 3 birthdays in a row. And I had fun telling him that. So at that point, only my mom and my sister-in-law had known. My mom, because I can't keep any secrets from her, and I needed support, and I had questions, and I don't know what I'm doing. And my sister-in-law, because, we're together a lot. We go to school together, we go on adventures together, like to the malls and stuff, and it would be obvious if I was sick. And in case of an emergency, I currently don't know how to drive, so I might need help. So we told her, and we wanted to keep it on the down low until we knew everything was okay. And initially my husband wanted to wait till we were 12 weeks or further along to tell anybody else. But we went to our first doctor's appointment. Like I said, I was 9 weeks. They did the sono, they did a pap smear, and we saw the baby. And once again, I'll put a picture up here so you could see. And we saw a heartbeat, and the doctor looked, and she said, everything looks amazing. And we were relieved. And from that point, it's like a light switch was flipped. And my husband was fully on board, which was amazing. I mean, he was on board either way. It's just, we were so scared. So scared. And it was funny because, the sonogram machine at this doctor's is very small, and we do it in the exam room. And my other doctor had its own separate room, and it was its own large screen, and it was huge. And so it was a little weird. We didn't get to hear the heartbeat. They said that they don't do that until like the 2nd trimester, which didn't make sense to me, as well as this doctor is strict about no recording our photos. Like they'd want you to purchase the recording through them, which I might do in the future just because it's only $5. But I wanted to wait till we can get the heartbeat potentially on there. But back to the story. The doctor has the screen facing towards her, away from me at first, because she wants to make sure, A, there's a baby, B, there's not multiple babies, and C, that everything looks okay, I guess, before she shows me. So I'm nervous, and everybody's quiet. So my husband is there holding my hand. He's standing behind the doctor, and I ask him, well, can you see the baby? Because I'm dying of nerves. My heart was beating like crazy, and even the nurse who took my blood pressure and everything, she's like, your heart is going crazy. Are you nervous? So of course I asked my husband if he could see the baby, and his response is, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what I'm looking at. So, ensue comic relief moment. Even the doctor laughed and said, well, at least he's being honest. And then she turned the screen to me, and that's when she kind of pointed out what we were looking at for him. So, they were little. They were so tiny, and you could see their limbs. They look like a little kitten more than a human. But it was beautiful, and my doctor gave me like a whole welcome package to them, and for being pregnant, that kind of just went into more detail week by week. And she gave me some samples of prenatals, and about the hospital and about her, and a whole bunch of information in a little tote bag. And then we paid our bill and we left. And I think we were just in shock. Like, we could not stop looking at that picture. We actually Ubered there because the weather was bad and our car kind of needs some fixing before we could drive it in the rain. So we walked a couple blocks to a restaurant that I wanted to go to celebrate, and I was hungry. And that's when we told my dad. And my mom already knew, like I said, and we decided we would tell our families, his family, my younger sisters, so we kind of came up with an idea for that. I told some of my really close friends just because they were with me once again through the miscarriage. So that was it. I didn't tell the world. Because like I said, we were still scared. We were so excited. And hearing the doctor say that everything looked great was a major relief. But my next appointment wasn't for like 3-4 weeks. And it was hard, the in-between waiting. It was hard. If you watch my video later on that I post about the miscarriage, you'll kind of understand why in between visits. That long period is hard for me. But yeah, so some of the symptoms that kind of helped cue me in that I actually was pregnant was that I was nauseous a lot. In fact, on the day of my doctor's appointment was the worst day of nausea for me. I actually had to tell my husband like to stay in the waiting room so I can go to the restroom, and just for him to text me when the doctor called my name, because I was feeling so pukey. So I was in the restroom most of the waiting game. As well as my chest was feeling really tender. I was just feeling really tired and lethargic, like nothing can hold my interest. I just always felt exhausted. And these are all things that I had felt with my last pregnancy, so I kind of knew. I did take a second pregnancy test, I think like a day or two before my doctor's appointment, just to make sure, because I got nervous. I didn't show any signs of spotting or anything. I would have freaked out if I did, but I was scared. So after my doctor's appointment, I did notice I was spotting, which they said was normal due to the pap smear. And I did some research, so they say like 2 to 3 days after the pap smear, spotting could be considered normal. But I did spot for like, I think 2 days, and that freaked me out. It was horrible, because that was the symptom last time of my miscarriage. So that was hard for me, but we made it through. We told, like I said, a couple more of our friends. I told my sisters and my mother-in-law and my husband's siblings. We took a picture of the sonogram and we framed it and we put it in, like a little gift bag. And for my mother-in-law, I told her it was something we got her for Valentine's Day, but kept forgetting to bring and actually give her, because Valentine's Day was like a week or so prior to us going to the doctor's. And for my sisters, I told them the same thing. And I wish I recorded their reactions, because it was beautiful. My mother-in-law didn't want to believe it. She was like, not in a negative way, but she was just like, really? Really? Because she did know about the miscarriage. And my youngest sister burst out into tears. She has a very big heart, and she's 11 years old. And it was beautiful. So that was fun. We decided to wait to post anything on social media until we were like 12 weeks, 13 weeks. So essentially my symptoms continued towards, I think, week like 10 and 11. They kind of died down a little bit. My morning sickness wasn't consistent. It wasn't all day. It was more at like 4 o'clock, which was kind of bad, because we did celebrate a lot of things in February. By like going out to restaurants in the evening. We celebrated my birthday. We celebrated the baby. And as soon as we got to the restaurants, I would have to go to the restroom and puke. So I felt bad, because people were probably thinking I ate something bad, but whenever someone would come into the restroom, I'd try to stop puking until they left, because I didn't want to make them think it was the food, I guess. But after that, I think week 12 was a lot smoother. I'll go more into what I'm feeling now in another video once I finish my second trimester. but I think those last few weeks were pretty good. I wasn't getting nauseous. I was still puking randomly. My stomach would just feel unsettled and I would just puke. And then I'd feel better. So that worked. My chest is still tender. It's not as bad as it was in the very beginning. So that's a blessing, except I relish in these symptoms because that tells me the baby's still there. So whenever I don't feel these symptoms, this is when I actually start to kind of panic a little bit. So yeah, I actually like the symptoms because they tell me they're there. Like I said, I just call the baby Little Boo Boo since we don't know any gender specifics. My family, which is mostly my dad and my youngest sister, they call the baby Baby Bop. Backstory to that is when my youngest sister, when my mom was pregnant with my younger sister, we didn't know if she was a boy or girl at that time. So I told him I would just call her Bob, which is baby of Baldasso, which is my maiden name, so B-O-B. So of course my dad is calling the baby Baby Bop, which is baby of Benya, which is my married name. And it's kind of funny because Baby Bop is that green little dinosaur from Barney, which apparently I dressed up as one year for Halloween. So anywho, that's kind of where we are on the names right now for the baby. We do have actual gender official names picked out, but we'll go into that once we figure out the baby's gender. These pictures here are from my 12-week scan. You can see they're sucking their thumb, or they have it next to their face. I decided to do the testing, which is just like, they take my blood, they measure the fluid in the back of the baby's neck to test them for Downs, and I know another one that tests if the baby's compatible with life. I'm obviously not gonna abort. I just want us to be prepared to know our odds and to know our chances, so that I can research and be prepared, and the doctors can know and be prepared for when the baby comes, so that there's less variables. Like I said, we're very paranoid. I still haven't heard back from the doctors. It's been 2 weeks, so I think technically 10 business days officially, and they told me I would get my results. I would get a call between 7 to 10 business days if there was any concerns, and if I didn't get a call, then the baby was, I don't want to say clear because that's never official, but the range of the likelihood of the baby being ill or having any of those would diminish, wouldn't be high enough to cause concern. So I take it as no news is good news, but I'm still probably going to call later today or Monday just to find out the official results, because I'm probably going to plan anyways, and I'm probably going to research anyways just in case, because that's the type of person that I am. My mom kept getting so frustrated with me telling her I can't eat this, and I can't eat this, and I can't eat these different types of food, and I can't take these types of medicines. But like I said, I don't want the reason, if any, that we have a miscarriage to be because I did something stupid. And obviously things are going really good right now. I am 14 weeks. I have another appointment in 2 weeks. But this is something you don't really get over. And until the baby is in my hands and makes it past year 1, I think then I'll start calming down. Thank you for watching this. If you sat through the whole thing, I'm sorry. I get emotional. It's just, this is my life. And these are my children. So please stay tuned for the next video if you're interested. When I had the miscarriage, I turned to YouTube and I watched video after video after video of baby announcements and weekly updates. and miscarriages. And the one thing that I learned that I never knew was that the community for miscarriages is so huge and so supportive. So I just want you to know, if it's something you have gone through or something someone you know has gone through, just be supportive. And a lot of people don't know how to react. So I just wanted to share my story so that if you had one, I'm here for you. You could talk to me. And if you haven't, I'm hoping to at least give some advice on what not to say or what not to do, because it hurts. And for those of you who are pregnant and everything is trucking on smoothly, congratulations. That is a blessing. And it's okay to be scared. Just try to stay positive, because that's what I'm doing. That's what my husband is doing. That is what my family is doing. And it's scary, and you kind of don't really want to make plans this time around. But you can't help it. So once again, thank you for listening. Please feel free to leave comments down below. I will read them all. Thank you. Goodbye.